So we are going to continue with the machine learning based research projects, and then how do we go about it? In the last section, we did discuss some of the procedures that we recommended that need to be taken. So based on feedback and some questions we've been receiving, so I felt we need to have what I call moving forward with machine learning based research project, a simple gap identification guide, because it's very important in any project. No one wants to spend any effort on what is of no value, either because someone already did exactly the same thing. So why do we need to reinvent the wheel? So that's why we are going to look into what we mean by gap identification, either we research or you want to do any project that worth it. So you want to really study and be able to justify what is the need for this particular project. And as usual, we're going to take it from a simplistic point of view. I always like to make things simple. So gap identification is a very big topic from research point of view. So many opinions here or there, but we always like to keep things simple so that people will not be lost in details. So that's why we're going to summarize our talk on the following points. And that is, we are going to talk on 4 important points under identifying gaps. We say in a simple way, research gaps can be identified by 1, reading the introduction section of research articles or abstracts in research papers or journals which researchers already published. So look into the work that have been published earlier, try to see what has been done. 2, discussions and future work research section in research paper also. So how did they discuss their work? So from the discussion, usually they will tell you what they feel this is their strong point, these are some of the shortcomings, as the case may be. We also have what we call the citation analysis. So, and then we have the systematic reviews or detailed literature review that will give us a very deep analysis of what has been done and where do we need to actually focus on. Now, picking one by one. So on the reading the introduction section of research, a well-written introduction or abstract should give us the direction of a clear understanding of what has been done and possible future direction where we can look into. If as a matter of fact, we know we have people that once they are thinking of furthering their work, they just look into the abstract of a paper and try to identify, oh, this is what has been done. I remember there used to be a professor like that. He just need to pick his own abstract, and from there he will come up with a problem statement to be addressed. See, so depending on the way the abstract or the introduction has been written, so especially the introduction, which is an extended abstract, see, where a good research, you answer the question as we always say, what you want to do, so why you are doing it. So and I see this why should be from 2 points of view. Why from stating the importance, why this work is important that you need to move ahead, and also the why from the gap. From gap. That is a good introduction and abstract should have identified gaps. What are the gaps that are available? So when you see the gaps that have been identified, and then the next thing you are going to see is what, why, and how. Then how do you want to solve this problem? What are you proposing? So once you see the gap identified and what is to be proposed, and then how also I said the why of how, that is why are you using this method? Why this method? Why not other methods? You see, so in those simple information, they will be pointed for you to, okay, this has been done. Oh, we need to do this. And then how, from which method are you using? For example, we want to use a particular machine learning algorithm to solve this problem. Then why that algorithm? Maybe we want to use SVM, support vector machine. Tell us a good introduction and abstract should tell us why that algorithm, why not KNN? So a well-written introduction, we definitely have pointer to what has been done, how and where can we really come in. And of course, the results summary, you get the results summary is always, and the implication of the result. Usually you can get that in a well-written introduction and abstract. I say a well-written introduction and abstract, because not all introduction and abstract are written in the same way. So depending on the publishing house. And that's why I usually recommend that people go for reputable journals when we are trying to identify problems to be done, so that we don't waste our time doing something that is, sometimes people make claims of what they have done, but when you try to reproduce their results, you find out that they didn't do anything. So in that case, in order to avoid wasting time on such, so it's always good to go for reputable journals that you know that no, before they publish any journal in their own area, they will have scrutinized the paper with enough peer reviews, ask a question, making sure that the research is reproducible. So this is on reading the introduction section of research articles, we'll be able to know what to do. Especially, I need to mention at this point here, when you talk of research summary, you see, this is very important, research summary. I will clarify the research summary. Usually you expect a good summary of your result, what has been achieved, with maybe a little comparison in introduction, which method is better and what we have achieved, and the implication of the result. So when you look into this in a well-written introduction or abstract, that will be a big pointer for you if there's a gap to be filled. You see, in machine learning research is totally different from other researches. You see, in other research area, maybe there's a topic investigating the effect of this on the student performance and the like. Once someone has investigated this, finish. You cannot go and investigate the same thing, except you want to look at it maybe from another point of view, or you have to add something. However, in machine learning, no. The same thing that someone just published, you can just pick it and look at what they have achieved just by looking at the research summary of the result, which you can get in introduction and or in the abstract. So looking at the performance achieved, we have a pointer to you. Imagine somebody working on machine learning application to predict some medical diagnosis or medical related stuff. We always aim for the highest value. So when you see that what they are reporting is showing that they have only been able to have accuracy of, let's say, like 95% or even 85%. I think that's one of the group recently now, they are working on their paper. So they have already read the paper, they summarize, and maybe 85% accuracy is the maximum. This is a good pointer to you that yes, there's a very big gap to be filled here. Because for them to be having 85 out of 100, there's still a very big room to be covered. That is an indication that, yeah, I need to dig into this. We're not yet talking of maybe how many features did they use. So me looking at the result summary can point to you, okay, there's something to be done here. We need to improve this result. This is one way. You see, just me looking at the result, there's gap, there's need for us to do it. That is one. So then sometimes you have to looking at the result also, okay, what have they achieved? That is why sometimes we're going to take it side by side with the discussion of result. We come back to this later when you have detailed analysis of the results in the second point. So in the introduction, you can see at least the accuracy is going to be stated compared to the others. And you see that, oh, with this one, I think we still need to do a lot of work to push it. Even at 95, we need to push it forward. You see, there could be some information also that are not yet clear. That is why the second aspect is going to tell us, you go to the discussion and future research section. Discussion will have more details than the introduction. But however, in introduction itself alone and abstract, you can have several indications to, okay, there's room for us to improve upon what they've gotten. So by looking at the performance indicator, they have reported, okay? So like I said, if somebody reported 85% accuracy or root mean scale of very high root mean scale error for regression, very low correlation coefficient, then you know that, okay, there's a pointer that we need to do something here. However, it's not enough. We might need to go to the discussion section to have more details, because sometimes they reported, okay, 99%. Okay, by just saying 99%. So what do you want to do in 99%? It's almost 100%. That would be an indication for, wow, these guys have covered a lot of ground. I think I don't need to waste my time much. But in machine learning, no, not all hopes are not yet lost. You need to go down to the discussion analysis of results, experimental discussions. What method have they used? How many features did they use? Some of them will put it in the introduction. If you get it there, that okay, we have used maybe 25 features and we're able to achieve 99% accuracy. This is a very big pointer that there's room for you to do something. Okay, 25 features is much. To collect 25 features is going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. Me asking somebody to answer 25 questions in a questionnaire is enough reason to send somebody away. So there's need for someone to work on this and bring it down to as low as possible. So these are some of these quick gaps you can quickly identify in your introduction or abstract of earlier published work. So this is why I said in machine learning, the fact that someone has worked on a particular work doesn't mean you cannot do it again. No, you can still work in that area, even using the same data set, by the way. And another thing we're going to talk about later is even changing the data set can change the old story. Maybe someone worked on this particular stuff irrespective of the results, but you are able to get your own local data. You will get local data, then that is a totally new stuff that you need to do. Because in machine learning, you cannot just generalize data from a place to another place, even on the same topic. That is why, for example, when you work on oil and gas prediction, maybe permeability, you need to tell us which oil well you are predicting from. Is it a Middle East oil well, or Africa, or North Africa? Where is it? Because even from different reservoirs, you have different data characteristics. So that is why the principle of let the data speak, always create opportunity for you to explore, especially if you can get your own local data or totally new data sets. However, in case you can't get data set that is new, then you go into what has been done from the introduction and abstract, you can actually get something out. The second is discussion and future research direction. So you can also go to the discussion and future research section in research papers and of the earlier published journal. Of course, I'm mentioning we should go for papers that are published in reputable journals. See, so that they will have done a lot of peer review to ensure that the paper is really worth it. Now, not just any paper. No. So on discussion and future work section, so here you go there. Like I said, when you get to this section, you need to read. After you identify, already in the introduction and abstract already told you the method they have utilized. So which method they use. In fact, in the introduction section, in the method section, me are telling you from the introduction they have used maybe a very powerful algorithm. Take for instance, someone decided to use deep learning for a data set that is described as ordinary numeric data, very simple data. That could be a pointer to you that no, I think there's a gap here. How do you go for deep learning for such a very simple data and they are reporting it 5% accuracy? It's not just because the accuracy is low, but I suspect that someone is trying to use a big hammer to kill a small hand. You see? Because when you have such very simple data set, you start trying very simple classifier. And we've had several cases like this, whereby what deep learning reported 85% accuracy for is very simple KNN already reported 95% or even more, actually. So these are some of the pointers that you can get quickly from your introduction or abstract, as the case may be, and the list goes on. So on the discussion and future research direction, here you also need to look at the discussion, because here discussion will be done in more detail. Here you are going to look into what we use to confusion matrix. We described this maybe a few weeks ago. Confusion matrix, you notice that in the confusion matrix, the mistakes are more of the false positive. You see, the mistakes are coming from false positive, not false negative. For production system, which is a company that is producing some items and they have a machine learning system to check if it's okay or not. Is the quality control okay, or we need to double check? In this kind of case, it's opposite to the medical that we used to talk about. In medical, false negative, false positive. This is what we want very low. We want it to be very low. These are the mistake, but sometimes you might not be able to have zero mistakes. So, but if you are going to have mistake in medical, it's better to have it in the false positive side. That is, you are saying somebody who is not sick, you are predicting him to be sick. He will go for further checkup and he will be exonerated later on. However, false negative is saying that someone is not sick, but meanwhile, the person is sick. So we don't want this kind of scenario. We don't want it because someone will go home and then develop complication later on. So if someone works on a particular research paper and although it's getting 98% accuracy or 97% accuracy or a little bit high result, but you notice that the mistake are coming from the false negative, which is a very bad mistake. So it means that it needs for you to try to use another method that could be able to solve this problem better than the way they have done it. That is a gap you have identified. However, in an industrial production company, you see, it will be the opposite. You see, false positive is going to be a no-no. We want it to be as low as possible, opposite to medical. Because false positive is saying, you want to check a product, is this product okay or it's not okay? False positive will say that this product is okay. No need to double check before sending it to the customer. But meanwhile, when the customer gets it and realizes there's a lot of production error in the system, in the goods, they will have to come for your companies. You put your company in trouble because they can take you to customer protection agency. You might have to charge the company for a lot of things. In addition to that, they might also go to Facebook, or to social media to blackmail your company. So no company wants to risk such a thing. In that case, false positive in production company predictive solution is a no-no. It's better for us to have false negative because false negative is saying this product is not good. Somebody need to check it physically again to be sure it is good. So we waste our energy. Sometimes we go and check it. We realize that the product is actually good, but it was mistakenly predicted as not being good. So we have another double effort to make sure that it's not going to the customer as a defective product. So false negative for industrial production complexes is an error that we don't want, but it's an acceptable error sometimes. Like I call it lesser evil. But false positive is no. It's a serious problem for the production because you are going to be saying that a product is okay for delivery, but then customer will receive very defective product, and we know the implication of such. So we don't want that. So you can see that though, this deep discussion of result, this is where you can get this message, actually. You cannot get this message in the introduction and the abstract. So you need to go down further and look at their deep discussion of their results. And this is where several people do miss it out. They don't give detailed analysis of their result for people. But this is very important. And then it's a function of the reviewers also. What do they look for? What do they look out for? So we have to pay attention to that. So these same people, they are getting maybe high result. However, the mistake they are making is on the wrong side. So rather have somebody getting like 98%, but the mistake is coming from false negative for production companies, than somebody having 99%, but the only mistake is coming from false positive. But that is a no-no. The same thing, opposite goes to medical application. In medical application, false negative is what we don't want. It's a serious mistake. Why false positive is manageable. You can see the opposite side of the system. So you can only get this data when you go to the discussion section of the research work that has been published. Also, the future work research sections try to look at what has been identified as the possible future works. You see, we try to identify what are the possible future work that has been identified for you. Look at it through. Like I said, some papers, of course, some people don't like to put their own future work there, but I always recommend Put as many future work as possible because you can benefit people. In fact, people would like to read your paper because they know they are going to get inspiration from your future work, which is very important. See? So you want people to know, okay, you got on my paper, you are going to get some future work direction. Because while you are carrying out the research, a lot of ideas will be coming to your head. You'll be documenting them. We call them fence out. See, as you are doing research, a lot of ideas will be coming. You have to define fence in and then fence out. Fence out. Fencing is those ideas that are coming that you can easily incorporate to your ongoing research. However, not all ideas can be incorporated, either because of time, because of facility, because of the interest, or so many things can determine this. So there could to be a lot of fence out that you keep documenting them. To me, this fence out should be reported in your future work direction. Let people benefit from your inspiration, inspire others to know what to do next. We acknowledge it's not compulsory and not everybody does that, but sizable number of published papers will include future work direction that they think the next researcher can try to beam their light to be able to benefit humanity from that research. So, but the discussion and then the future work section is very, very important. You can get a lot of insight to be able to know, okay, should we continue with this or should we not continue with it? And some other detailed discussions of the result that could have been presented by the authors. And also we have the citation analysis. In the citation analysis, this is where we want to look at, okay, a particular idea has been cited by who? Usually here you can have forward search or forward search analysis and backward search. Backward search. That is, you take a particular citation, a particular paper, you look at how many people already cited this paper. You see? Because if people have cited this paper, then try to see maybe those people, they have done what this guy has done, they have improved upon what the gap they identify. Because this is very important. You cannot just see a paper and assume that all the listed future direction, they are still open. No, every day people are checking paper and they are improving upon what has been done. Especially in machine learning, comparing your work with earlier work is very, very necessary. So you need to check, okay, this particular citation, how many people cited it? Oh, this paper was published in January 2022, but already 50 people already cited it since January or even more. So maybe there's probably a possibility that some of those citing papers already did something similar. So you have to quickly check through to see that you are not just going to do something that someone else already did. So by analyzing them also, by also looking at people that's why I say forward search, that's also the backward one. Backward means this particular paper, look at some of the citation he himself referred to. What are the papers he cited? Go to those papers and see what they have done. This paper might have just selected one of the identified gap from previous citation that he also consulted. So try to go back, work and see what are the other ideas that could have been hidden in that particular system. You can get a lot of insight by looking into citation analysis, backward or forward. So try to see who has cited this paper, how many, how recent are they, and what exactly do they do. This is a possibility to get some inspiration or gap analysis idea from citation analysis. And then the fourth one, and last but not the least, is the systematic reviews or detailed literature review that need to be carried out. See, there is need for you to go into detailed literature review, see what they have done in details. Then you can summarize in a table. Of course, I always recommend to people, any area you want to work, try to get a review paper in that area. Start by getting a review paper. Review paper is dedicated to literature review on that particular subject. So most likely they will have covered almost everything. And that review paper is very difficult to write because you need to write it within the short period of time. Otherwise, it will become obsolete. Because you don't want to, no journal paper will accept a review paper that is having several papers. Maybe you started writing it in January, you finish writing in June. So all papers between June and September or October, they are missing. That is not a valid review paper. So you need to keep updating it and quickly submit it, and hopefully you get acceptance as soon as possible. Otherwise, you have to add more. So a review paper is likely going to contain the most recent information or published work in this area. So if you can get a review paper in that particular area, it will be great. So you try to see what has been done, and then you can try to add a good review paper. Also, we identify some of these future research directions that they have detected in all these papers they have listed. So this is another way to actually get an idea or inspiration or what are the gaps that you can try to target to fill as you try to work on machine learning based research. Either systematic literature review or detailed literature review. Some of them also will have the table of gap. Look for that. They will identify the gap. They try to summarize the method used, the kind of techniques, and then they will mark it for you. They say this one doesn't use this. So you see the one that a lot of things are missing there. There's possibility that you might be able to get something done appropriately. So systematic research literature review or detailed literature review will definitely provide you with a lot of guidelines and possible direction that we might have to look into in trying to see, okay, what are we going to actually select as our own area of target to be investigated. So the moment we have been able to do all these particular 4 summarized steps, I want to believe we should be on the way to move forward, to move towards moving forward, to be able to say, okay, what are the next that we need to do? You need to start, first of all, try to also reproduce what you have seen. First, you have to identify the paper you want to use, identify the data set. Yeah, and I would like to also mention something here to clarify something very important, is that the data set, identifying the kind of data set used is very, very important. See, if the data set used is available for you, that is good. It's a good place to start. Okay, see what they have achieved. However, the data set is not available, then you might need to actually start looking for your data set. And that is why I presented this. I need to mention this very important point. In generalized gap identification in research, people go this systematic, these 4 steps or even more, without constraining data sets. You try to see the idea that is nice, this and that. However, in machine learning, as machine learning is based on what we say, let the data speak. So data is very important. That is why I don't encourage people just looking. Of course, you can do that. You have done a lot of literature review looking for what is very interesting, a new idea, a new way. You are now even thinking about the availability of data set. It's okay. However, you might be disappointed because after establishing that this is a very nice gap to follow, this is a very nice area to follow, you now come to realize that, oh, this is a very nice topic, but there's no data set. And it is not something you can just get data set in a quick stop. In that case, that is why last week I mentioned that one of the very important steps is to first of all identify the data set that you want to go for. See, try to see data set that you are trying to use. It's very important. In fact, there's some website that already I shared the link with us. Those websites like UCL repository, a lot of data set there. See, every data set they listed there, they will tell you paper that already use those data sets. So when you pick a particular data set, you click the link, it will take you to, okay, please, they will encourage you to please cite the following papers if you use this data. You see the paper that already use them. Just go to those papers, do forward search for the citation of this paper and backward search. See who already used them, see who was their own reference point initially. So that is why in machine learning, to try to identify gap by first of all looking to data set is very, very important. Because if the data set is not available, no matter how fantastic the idea is it might be a dead on arrival idea. So that is why the principle of let data speak indicate that we need to pay attention to the availability of data set. And I actually say, you can start from data. Of course, you can come up with a very nice project idea, but you have to be aware that it might take you a long time to get the data set. And I do encourage people, if you really believe in that idea and it's very interesting, why not? You can do your own data collection. You can start contacting organizations to get you data set, because you have established that this idea, no one has done it before, is going to be a very good contribution to knowledge, but the data set is an issue. So you go ahead and try to get the data set as much as possible. See, it could take you time. It might not take you time, depending on the kind of data set. It is also a possibility. However, bearing in mind always to first of all look at, okay, can I get, especially as you are starting, so to avoid to avoid getting yourself discouraged along the way, so because data set could take long time. Sometimes we've had to wait for data set for good 1 year for maybe, for example, maybe graduation project students that waited for almost 1 year, only getting the data 2 weeks to the end of their semester, the session. So in that case, there is no time for them to even do the modeling they want to do. So this thing happens. So it can take a lot of time before you get the data. However, sometimes it's really worth the waiting, because finally, when you get the new data set, it gives you a lot of opportunity to really explore and see what you can make of the data set. However, at the start, to avoid discouragement, I always encourage people, start from data set, search for data set that are interesting, see if you are interested in that area, and from there, you can try to detect the gap that you can feel, as the case may be. So keeping it simple, so I want to believe this is going to be enough for today under identification of gap. So if you have any question, so we're going to give room for engagement, clarification, or any point that we've explained that is not clear, or whatever area you want us to touch more in the short discussion. Once again, thank you very much for listening, and I wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.